Every single day, someone is trying to take your money. Not through robbery, not through scams you can easily spot, through psychological warfare so sophisticated that you willingly hand over your wealth thinking it was your own idea. The rich understand something you don't about manipulation. They've built invisible shields around their minds and their money. While you're being programmed to consume, to react emotionally, to make decisions that benefit everyone except yourself, the wealthy are watching the same game unfold and refusing to play. Manipulation is everywhere. It's in your newsfeed. It's in your workplace. It's in relationships you think are genuine. And unless you learn to see it the way the rich do, you'll keep bleeding wealth without ever knowing where it went. Today, I'm exposing the exact tactics used against you and the mental frameworks the wealthy use to stay untouchable. This isn't about paranoia. It's about awareness. And that awareness is worth more than any investment you'll ever make. The emotional trap. Here's the first truth the wealthy understand. Your emotions are not your own. They're manufactured. Every advertisement, every news headline, every social media post is engineered to trigger a specific emotional response. Fear, greed, envy, urgency. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The rich have internalized this. They operate from purpose, not impulse. When you feel that sudden urge to buy something, to invest in something everyone's talking about, to react to breaking news, pause. That feeling was planted there. The wealthy have trained themselves to recognize this moment. They call it the gap, the space between stimulus and response. Poor people react instantly. They see a sale and buy. They hear bad news and sell. They feel fear and freeze. Rich people expand that gap. They observe the emotion without acting on it. They ask, who benefits if I react right now? And almost always the answer isn't them. This emotional discipline isn't cold or robotic. It's freedom. Control your emotions, because when you control your emotional responses, you control your financial destiny. But most people never learn this because they are too busy being triggered by the next notification. The scarcity lie. Limited time offer. Only 3 left in stock. Act now before it's too late. You've heard these phrases thousands of times, and they work. They work because scarcity triggers a primal fear in your brain, the fear of missing out, the fear of being left behind. But here's what the rich know. Manufactured scarcity is almost always a lie. That limited edition product will be back next month. That investment opportunity will return in a different form. That sale happens every quarter. The wealthy understand that true scarcity is rare, and when something truly scarce comes along, it doesn't need aggressive marketing. It sells itself quietly to those who recognize its value. The manipulation tactic here is simple. Create artificial urgency to bypass your rational thinking. When you're panicking about missing out, you don't calculate, you don't compare. You don't negotiate, you just grab, and that's exactly what they want. If this belief hit close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next one might be the one holding you back the most. The rich have a different response to scarcity messaging. They see it as a red flag. The louder someone screams about limited availability, the more suspicious they become, because they know that confidence doesn't shout, value doesn't beg, and real opportunities never need countdown timers. Social proof weapon. Everyone's doing it. All your friends have one. This is the hottest trend right now. Social proof is perhaps the most powerful manipulation tool ever created. Because we're tribal creatures, we look to others to determine what's safe, what's valuable, what's acceptable. And manipulators exploit this ruthlessly. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. The wealthy have absorbed this wisdom deeply. They understand that the crowd is almost always wrong about money. When everyone is buying, prices are inflated. When everyone is selling, value is being destroyed. When everyone agrees something is a sure thing, it's usually already too late. This doesn't mean the rich are contrarians for the sake of being different. They simply evaluate opportunities on their own merit, not on how many people have already jumped in. Think for yourself. The next time you feel pulled towards something because everyone else is doing it, ask yourself, am I evaluating this independently or am I just following the herd? Because the herd gets slaughtered. Every time. The rich watch from a distance, waiting for the panic to pass, then they move in. This is how wealth transfers from the many to the few, not through theft, through patience and independent thinking. The authority trap. They have a degree, they've been on television, they wrote a best-selling book, so they must be right, right. This is the authority trap, and it's devastatingly effective. We're conditioned from childhood to obey authority figures, parents, teachers, doctors, experts. This conditioning serves a purpose in some contexts. But when it comes to your money, blind trust in authority is financial suicide. Dangerous. The wealthy know that credentials don't equal competence, that media appearances are often paid for, that best-selling books can be manufactured through bulk purchases. They evaluate advice not by who's giving it, but by analyzing the incentive structure behind it. Here's their secret question. How does this person benefit if I follow their advice? A financial advisor pushing a product earns commission. A celebrity endorsing an investment was paid to do so. An expert on television has sponsors to please. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. The rich don't reject all expertise. They just never delegate their thinking entirely. They gather information from authorities, then make their own decisions. They understand that the most dangerous words in finance are "trust me, I'm an expert." Because everyone's an expert when they're trying to sell you something. Reciprocity chains. Someone does you a favor, gives you something for free, helps you when you didn't ask, it feels good. But here's the uncomfortable truth: that gift might be a chain. The principle of reciprocity is hardwired into human psychology. When someone gives us something, we feel obligated to give back, often far more than we received. Manipulators exploit this constantly. The free sample, the complimentary consultation, the unexpected bonus. These aren't generosity. They are investments designed to create psychological debt. Free is never free. The rich understand this game intimately, not just as targets but as players. They know that a gift without expectation is rare. Almost everything comes with strings, so they evaluate every free thing they receive by asking, "What is this really costing me?" They're comfortable declining gifts that create unwanted obligations. They don't feel guilty refusing favors that come with hidden price tags. This isn't rudeness, it's wisdom. There is no such thing as a free lunch. The wealthy also use reciprocity ethically. They give first, create value first, help first. Not to manipulate, but because they understand that genuine generosity builds real relationships. The difference is intention. Manipulation seeks extraction. True generosity seeks connection. Learn to tell the difference, and you'll never be trapped by false kindness again. The anchor effect. That luxury car was originally $50,000, but today it's only $35,000. What a deal! Except it was never worth $50,000. That number existed only to make $35,000 feel like a bargain. This is anchoring. The first number you see becomes your reference point. Everything else is compared to it. And manipulators set that anchor deliberately. You're being programmed to pay more. The wealthy see through this instantly. They ignore the original price completely. They research the actual market value independently. They compare across multiple options before any negotiation begins. They set their own anchors. In salary negotiations, the rich know that whoever speaks first often loses. They let the other party anchor, then reframe the conversation around different numbers entirely. In purchases, they never accept the seller's first price as meaningful. The first price you see is designed to manipulate you. Here's a powerful technique. Before any major financial decision, do your research in isolation. Determine what you believe the fair value is before you ever see their price. Write it down. Because once you see their anchor, your brain will be biased toward it whether you want it to be or not. The only defense is preparation. The rich are always prepared. Identity hijacking. You're a smart investor. You're the kind of person who recognizes quality. People like you understand value, sound familiar. This is identity hijacking. Instead of selling you a product, manipulators sell you a version of yourself. A better, smarter, more sophisticated you. And the product is just the proof of that identity. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled. was convincing the world he didn't exist. But the greatest trick marketers ever pulled was convincing you that buying their product defines who you are. The wealthy have decoupled their identity from their possessions completely. They don't need a certain watch to feel successful. They don't need a certain car to feel important. They don't need others to see their wealth to know they have it. This psychological freedom is incredibly rare. Most people are locked in identity prisons built by advertising. They buy things they don't need to prove something to people they don't even like. You are not your stuff. The rich ask different questions. Not does this make me look successful, but does this actually serve my goals? Not what will people think, but what do I actually want? This shift from external validation to internal clarity is worth more than any financial strategy. Because once you stop trying to buy an identity, you stop being vulnerable to those selling one. The sunk cost trap. But I've already invested so much time, so much money, so much energy. I can't walk away now. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and it's responsible for more destroyed wealth than almost any other psychological trap. The money is gone. The time is gone. They're not coming back. But we keep investing more, hoping to justify what we've already lost. Stop. The wealthy understand that sunk costs are irrelevant to future decisions. The only question that matters is, knowing what I know now, would I start this investment today? If the answer is no, they walk away, immediately, without guilt, without looking back. This applies to everything. Bad investments, failed businesses, toxic relationships, dead-end careers. The rich cut losses quickly because they know that time and capital are finite. Every dollar chasing a bad investment is a dollar not going toward a good one. The first rule of holes: when you're in one, stop digging. Manipulators exploit sunk costs ruthlessly. They string you along with small commitments that escalate. They make you invest just enough that walking away feels impossible. But it's never impossible. The rich know that sometimes the best investment decision is to lose what you've already spent and move on. Pride is expensive. Ego is expensive. The willingness to admit you were wrong is free, and it's the foundation of long-term wealth. Information warfare. Every piece of information you consume is curated by someone with an agenda. News channels aren't informing you. They're programming you. Social media algorithms don't show you truth. They show you what keeps you engaged, which is usually what makes you angry or afraid. Your reality is being constructed for profit. The wealthy understand information warfare at a level most people never consider. They know that access to accurate information is one of their greatest advantages, so they curate their inputs ruthlessly. They don't watch news designed for mass consumption. They subscribe to specialized sources. They build networks of informed people. They pay for analysis while others consume free content filled with hidden agendas. Control your inputs. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're getting your financial information from the same sources as everyone else, you'll get the same results as everyone else, which is to say, you'll lose. The rich also understand that misinformation is a weapon. They're skeptical of any information that arrives with urgency. They verify before they act. They consider who benefits from them believing something. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice, but it's not just about avoiding lies. It's about seeking truth actively. The wealthy invest in their education continuously, not degrees, real knowledge, the kind that translates to better decisions. The inner fortress. Everything we've discussed today leads to one conclusion. The ultimate protection against manipulation isn't any specific technique. It's the development of an inner fortress, a psychological structure so solid that manipulation simply bounces off. The wealthy cultivate this fortress through several practices. They know themselves deeply, their values, their goals, their weaknesses. When you know exactly what you want, it's much harder to be sold something you don't. They practice stillness, meditation, reflection, time alone with their thoughts. In silence, they hear their own voice clearly enough to recognize when someone else's voice is trying to override it. They maintain strong relationships with people who tell them the truth, not what they want to hear. Yes, men are the enemy of wealth. Honest counsel is priceless. No man is free who is not master of himself. They also understand that vulnerability is part of being human. They don't pretend to be immune to manipulation. They simply remain vigilant, constantly questioning, constantly evaluating, constantly protecting their most valuable asset, their mind. Your mind is either a fortress or a playground for manipulators. You choose which one it becomes, every day, with every piece of information you consume, with every decision you make, with every person you trust. Build your fortress. Guard it fiercely. Because in a world designed to separate you from your wealth, your mind is the only thing they can't take unless you give it to them. The wealthy aren't lucky. They aren't just smarter. They've simply learned to see the game that everyone else is blind to. They recognize emotional manipulation before it hijacks their decisions. They see through manufactured scarcity and artificial urgency. They evaluate opportunities on merit, not on social proof or authority. They understand reciprocity chains, anchoring effects, and identity hijacking. They cut sunk costs without sentiment and curate their information ruthlessly. Now you see it too. The question isn't whether manipulation exists. It does, everywhere. The question is whether you'll continue being a target or start being aware. Every technique I've shared today is a shield. Use them, practice them, until they become automatic. Until your default response to any financial decision is, wait, who benefits from me acting right now? The best defense is a good offense. If you made it this far, comment untouchable to prove you're building your fortress. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to protect it. If this opened your eyes, subscribe. Your financial awakening is just beginning.